You can have your seats on this Sunday. Just a reminder, starting on next Sunday, really Saturday, but Sunday we will be in our January fast, similar to the November fast, and you'll get information via Facebook and also our church website. And so it's real simple. You'll have the things that we are focusing on for those weeks, real simple, but things that we'll be able to make sure we're staying together on. Amen. Amen. It was in 2013. It was in 2013 that I embarked upon another level of learning. Another level of learning. I needed to bring in more financial resources in my home, and so I embarked on another level of learning. And with that, I remember going, my daughters, two of them are alumni of U of H downtown. And then I went that route, and then my youngest daughter went to U of H Central campus. But as I went to the campus of U of H downtown Houston, the particular course I wanted to get into was into law enforcement at another level. Did some degree even in the 1990s, 1980s, did some things, went to Austin, took some tests, took some classes, and passed the test, did a lot of things, but then I needed to go to another level. And I remember going there, and they said, well, by the end of this course, you will have a 300 test question test. By the end of this course, the test that you will have to take for the state of Texas will be 300 questions. They said there's no alterations of that. You'll have to take the test. I remember the gentleman, Rex White, who was the director. He said, however, I'm going to give you every answer to that test. I said, well, immediately I'm ready then. If you're going to tell me all of the answers, I may have to study a little harder than others that are taking tests, and it's easy for them, but I think I can get it if you're going to tell me all the answers. They gave us a book. The book was about, I guess, between 4 to 5 inches thick. It said everything is in the book that's on the test. Everything is in the book. He said, and then I'm going to give you more information that will give you another level of security with the answers that you will need. And so this is how they did it. They took it part by part by part. And he said, for the first part, I don't want you to try to study everything. I only want you to study this part. And so that week, those 2 weeks, we went over just that part. That was it, just that part. At the end of that week, we took a test on just that part. He said, now next week, we're going to add to that. We're going to remind you of what you've already had, but we're going to add to it more that's going to be on the test. So the next couple of weeks came, and we went over it part by part. And so he added to what we had already learned. He added more to it. I think it was about the 4th or the 5th month that we had went over everything. We went over way past 300 questions. They also, because of the area that I was going into, incidentally, it was in law enforcement. And so they said, not only do you need to have the knowledge of not only the laws and the information, but you need to be physically fit. We want to make sure you are able to do what is there. I guess if I could pause right there, is one of the reasons why we hold law enforcement officers to another standard is because they should have learned something that many of us don't know. And yes, it is of a truth that oftentimes, while they may know, they will exceed and or abuse their authority because we don't know it. All right, I'll leave that alone. By the end of that course, we were all put in a particular room. I did not know because I hadn't been in college for a while. I did not know. They took us all into a particular room, so many of us in that room, and that room had cameras in it. They seated us almost like we do because of the coronavirus. They seated us with some distance between us. We could not take anything in the room. They supplied the paper, the tests, and the pencils. They said you have only a certain amount of time to pass this test. 300 questions. We've already went over every one of them. And so I remember going and going in the room, and this is what Mr. White said. He said, I've told you exactly what's been on, that's what's going to be on this test to prepare you. He said, however, some of you will not pass because you didn't follow my directions. He said, many of you may not get 100. Many of you may not get 90, but I promised you if you follow my directions, you will pass. I like that because I think the Bible helps us understand as we are preparing, I want to call it, I don't know if I should say a test in life, but the journey in life, that most people think everybody has to make 100 like you do. But the fact of the matter is, if you just pass the test, God is saying, well done. He's not saying you have to be as good a Christian as you. He's not saying that she has to sing like him or play. He's saying if you just do your part, you will pass the test. But Pastor, give me, what do I need since they broke it down for you? What do I need going into 2022? What do I need to ensure that I'm able to get to that place and that point that I will be able to pass the test or live life like God called, or even winning in life? I'm glad you asked. Because Psalm 37, verses 3 through 7, I think gives us every part we need to do in order to pass the test, in order to win. Everybody want to win, right? All right. Psalms 37, verse 3. If you're there, just say I'm there. All right. You're not there yet. I'll wait. Psalm 37, verse 3. This is what it says. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and feed on his faithfulness. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Verse 6 of verse 5, commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. He shall bring forth your righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday. Last verse. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings wicked schemes to pass. If I were to put a tag on this text, simply I would say guidelines for living and winning. Guidelines for living and winning. We're going into 2022, and most people at the beginning of the year, we make those different goals that we set before us. We make different things that we're going to try to achieve. And I like that because whether it is small, short-term, or large, long-term goals, I believe everybody ought to set a goal before you. If you have not, it's not too late. You still have a few days before you get into 2022. You ought to put a goal before you. I'm going to lose 2 more pounds. I'm going to grow my hair at least. I'm going to begin to watch how I eat. I'm going to begin to eat better. I'm going to begin to exercise. You ought to put a goal before you. It doesn't have to be that I'm going to save $50,000. I'm just going to save $1,000 in 2022. I mean, whatever you go, I'm going to begin to keep my car a little cleaner. I'm going to make sure that my car is maintained. I'm going to make sure that I keep the gas hand away from the E mark. I mean, you ought to put a goal before you. I'm going to make sure that I learn to treat people right even when they don't treat me. You ought to put a goal before you. I'm going to apologize to them folk that been acting crazy toward me and haven't said. I'm going to just, everybody say a goal, a goal. Most people put goals before them at the beginning of the year, and maybe sometimes in that first quarter it gets a little challenges, because in life there will always be challenges. Around that first quarter we start, you know what, look like I'm not losing as much weight. I haven't really kept up with. I haven't been putting the money aside to go into and we start pulling back. Well, I believe the scripture gives you something that will help you not only live life the way it ought to be, but even winning in life. The psalmist says something in Psalms 37:3. He gives us part by part by part. This is easy for everybody. You don't have to ever lose if you just do these. I'm going to say 4 things. The first one, he says there in verse 3, he says, trust in the Lord. You want to go into 2022, you ought to say to yourself, I resolve this coming year, I'm going to trust him as never before. I went to my doctor the other day. Sister Bonner, I was careful because my throat was feeling a little strange, and so I went there. I was encouraged by some of my loved ones to go in to take the COVID test, and so we did all of the things, went to the doctor, and they did that stuff, and they gave me extra test as well, said, no, it's negative, don't worry about it, you're good, no strep throat, and but it didn't change. I was feeling a little challenged with it. He said, well, this is what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that you're doing this and this, real simple things, regular things, but because of this weather change, you got to make sure you take care of yourself. And so I said, okay, doctor, and in particular, he was a man of Ethiopian descendant, and so I appreciated him being a person that is within my framework of likeness. And so I said, yes, sir, I thank you. And he said, you know, you're doing very well, sir. Just, you know, do this and do this and do that. I said, well, now, doc, I appreciate that, but you do know Christmas is close. So there's some of those things you're talking about on your little list you went down. I'm going to eat. I've already, they set out, we've got it down. I mean, and even the dessert, because no meal is complete without the dessert. And so I said, we've got it. And so he said, well, there's nothing wrong with that, but right after that, you cannot abuse it. You need to go down the list of things that you need to do to make sure you're taking care of yourself, because we don't want you to get sicker. And I said, no problem. I can do that. I can do it. But it was ironic to me. I'd never met him before. Never. As a matter of fact, he was younger than I am chronologically in his age. Never met him. Didn't know him from anybody else. The young lady that came in, the other nurse, when he came in, I'd never met them before. But you know, I took what they said serious, based on who they were and their area of expertise. Many people, we live our lives, but we won't follow the directives of trusting God. The writer here of this psalm says, trust in the Lord. Well, that's good when I think I've got it all planned out. That's easy when I think that when I can see how it's going to come out, I can see, and I've formulated how it ought to work out, and I've gotten all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed. But he says you have to trust in the Lord even when things are going totally against what you planned. This word trust actually says, I want you to have a degree of confidence in God. I want you to have a degree of assurance in God. I want you to have a degree of so much belief that no matter what you say, God, I know you have it covered. Everybody say trust in the Lord. Now, this is important because many people trust in their jobs. They trust in their bank account. I took a flight. I don't mind flying at all. I took a flight, and when we got on the airplane, I don't know, what do they call attendants, the flight attendant, she, oh, welcome, come on in, and here's your, oh, there you are right there, and do you need anything? You need cover? You need a blanket? You need a pillow? Don't worry, it came by a little later. Is there anything you would like in particular to drink? We're serving this. And she went down her list of foods that they would heat up for me and brought it to me. And we got on that plane, and the gentleman came on the mic, and he said that we are preparing to go to Los Angeles, and on that flight, we're going to get up to about 35,000 feet in the air, and we're going to be going several hundred miles an hour. And and I thought to myself, I've never met him before. I really don't know him. Didn't even see him when I came on the plane. I hope that's the one that's piloting the thing. It could have been a recording. I don't know, but I sat down. The stewardess said, buckle your seatbelts. We're about to take off. And I did just what they said based on what I thought they would go. And I saw when we took off, I normally pray this prayer. You can take it for yourself. I said, God, if this plane is not going to land safely at its destination, don't even allow it to get off the ground here. You hold it here. But once I got in the air, I figured I was going to land safely because I've already talked to him about don't let it leave. We began to go up, and I'm not used to the plane going up so fast and so that he went in. This was a large plane, a very large plane. It took me back in my seat a little, and I was like, wait, whoa. When we got up to a certain level, he said, I want to already warn you that in a certain area when we're leaving out of the state of Texas, everybody say trust in the Lord. He said, when we get close to the edge of the state of Texas, we're going to have a little turbulence. But don't worry about it. I'm going to take us above it once we get into it. I said, the man that I've never met, I don't even know how he looks. He has gotten me 30,000 feet in the air plus, going several hundred miles an hour in the flight, and he's pre-warning me that there's going to be some shakeups on the way. But don't worry about it. I'm going to go above it. I have to compare that when the writer says, trust in the Lord. Everybody say trust. I didn't understand how is it that God creator, God sustainer, God provider, God deliverer, God protector, and I don't want to trust him? Everybody say trust him. If you're going to follow the guidelines for living and winning, you're going to have to trust in the Lord. Everybody say trust. I have to give full confidence. You all know one of the heartbeats of my life now is my granddaughter, Kyle June. Kyle, she has something about when she wants something, Sister Bonner, when she wants something, she will have the audacity to come and get you and grab your hand and take you to the area. And so I'm in the pantry, and I'm looking for something that I want in particular, something that I went for. And I look around, and here's Kyle June coming in. And she didn't ask. She just began to look. She saw what she wanted, and she just grabbed it, took it off the shelf. She's not even able to open the can. But that's what she wanted. So she brought it to her pawpaw. And she brought it and gave it to me. And you know, I tried to do like many people do, as if I didn't know what she wanted. But she had an expectation that if I bring it to you, you're going to do what I need. She trusted in my ability to do something she could not do. He says, everybody say trust. He says, trust in the Lord. And this is where I must confess to you, where I had a challenge, because I trust God when everything is going my way. I trust God when everybody is treating me right. I trust God when I've already planned it out and it seems as if everything is going exactly how I planned it out. But then he adds something. He says, and do good. Why would you say and do good when I'm trusting you? Because there's sometimes when you trust God, everybody's not going to be on your side and treat you right. You're going to have to trust him and continue to do good. Everybody say, pull it back, preacher, pull it back. Well, I'll confess to you, I've trusted in the Lord and folk have treated me wrong and I've said, hold on. But God says in his word, trust in the Lord and do good. If you really want the guidelines for living and winning, you're going to have to trust God and continue to do good. Everybody say do good. I had someone not too far in a distant past that I believe they did do something against me. I did. And I was going to get them back. I know y'all don't want to hear it. I know you don't believe it. No, Pastor, not you. But I was going to thank you. That's all I needed was one. I was going to. And so, but then something got to me and said, what if I'm using this as an example for them and not for you? It ruffled my feathers. I said, no, Lord. No, use me in a different way. Use me like David prayed. When I fight against them. All right, y'all don't want to. He said, trust in the Lord and do good. And then he goes to the second one. He says, delight. Everybody says delight. This is another guideline for living and winning. Not only do I trust you, but I delight in you. I just used an example of my granddaughter, so I'll use it one more time. Whenever she sees her Gigi is my wife, her grandmother. Whenever she sees her, it does not matter who else is holding her or what else she's doing. For some reason, she gravitates to her. I mean, I'm thinking, wait a minute, she'll get upset and begin to, I'm thinking, what is it about? I just gave you that stuff out of the pantry. She didn't open it. I opened it. I'm the one that let you in the room and you pick up stuff that ain't yours and I allow you to still play. What is it about? And she just when she's challenged and she needs comforting, she goes to her Gigi. Thinking to my just the other day, she was there, Elder Witherspoon, and they began to give her a bottle, and she relaxed and went to sleep in her. I'm thinking, what is it? What it told me was that level of, everybody say delight. He says if you are going to live by the guidelines and to win, not only are you to trust in the Lord, but verse 4 says delight also in the Lord. Everybody say delight. That word delight has a strange meaning. It means to take pleasure in the Lord. It means not only to take pleasure, but it says seek happiness in the Lord. Not only to take pleasure, not only to seek happiness, but he says be happy in the Lord. Now that's because most people are only happy when they get a bonus check. Most people are only happy when they find a sale for something. Most people are only happy when things are only going their way. But he says not only do you have to trust in God, but you have to delight in him. Everybody say delight. It is like going into your one of my favorite restaurants, where I have not been to here recently, but one of my favorite restaurants that I like to go to, particularly for the dessert, is the Cheesecake Factory. I feel the Spirit of the Lord bearing witness. The Cheesecake Factory. I love going there because at the end of every meal, you have an opportunity to complete the meal with a dessert. And the dessert menu is there, and they have a variety of things. You don't have to just pick one. Can I get the witness? You can get more. Everybody say delight. And I must confess to you, I ate all of the food that was prepared for me, and it was good, but my delight is not there until the dessert. I save room. Even though the food is good, I said that's enough, because I want to get to the part that I really delight in. Now, some of you, I know you don't understand, but I've been one of those because I delight in it. I'll eat dessert before, during, and after. Everybody say delight. If you want to really follow the guidelines of Scripture for living and winning, he says not only do you trust God, but you got to delight in him. You ought to say, God, I'm looking for. That's one of the reasons why I understand the numbers of this virus may be going up. But that's one of the reasons I believe that some people have forgotten how to delight in God because they really don't want to be in his presence like everybody else. Look at somebody and say, delight, delight. It means I ought to be happy when it comes to God. I ought to get cheerful. You don't have to drag me to church. You don't have to force me to praise him. I delight in the Lord. The writer of this psalm says, delight yourself in the Lord. And then he says what will happen when you delight. He says he'll give you the desires of your heart. There's a third thing there that's a guideline. He says not only trust, not only delight, but commit to the Lord. Everybody say, commit your way. Now this commit is a little different than some of the commitments that people have. This commit actually means give your way over to him and take his way. It means commit your life to him in a manner that you say, like Christ, not my will, but your will. I'm committed to doing it your way. I'm saying not what I want, how I like it, but really I want to do it the way you want me to do it. Everybody say commit to him. Say it like you mean to say commit to him. I remember years ago we had an automobile that was challenged, and it worked when it wanted to, and sometimes it didn't work at all. It worked, and sometimes I'm driving and then I would hear sput, bang, pop, and I'm wondering, am I going to make it? And so I'm driving down, in particular, Elder Ricky, I'm driving down Wayside, and I'm driving in this, it was a 67 Volkswagen Beetle. I'm driving down there, and I heard the put, put, bang, pop. I said, it's all right, that's all right, we'll be okay, we'll be all right. And then it went, and so I just rolled it over. And so I called my brother Danny and said, hey, I need some help. Need you to help me. And we brought it back to the house. But that was the only automobile that I had. I had to go to work the next day. And so it did not matter. I checked everything that I could and got my little manual out, and I was reading some of the stuff that was in there. What could it have been? What could bring it? And so when I found out what the problem may have been, I didn't quite have all of the tools and didn't have the things, but I went and got it from the auto parts store, got the tools, and it took me late in the wee hours of the night to get that car running. But I was committed to getting it running because I needed it to go the next day. Now, my commitment there said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get the job done. But when I got a little older, I found a different commitment. Because while I was driving the same car in the same area, I'm noticing people waving at me. People that I didn't even know. Wave back. People waving. Why, man, I knew I'd keep the car clean. I didn't know, man, people getting my... They was trying to tell me the car was on fire. I'm just driving, and they was trying to flag me down to tell me, hey, man, the car is on fire. And I'm wondering, what's y'all? I looked in the mirror and noticed there was flames coming up, and I put... My area of commitment changed. The car that I was committed to driving the next day for work because I didn't have I was committed to getting rid of that car. I was committed because I didn't even know that thing. I was committed to whatever it took. I said, Lord, I'm going to do it your way because I want another car. My levels of commitment, he says, if you really want to follow the guidelines for living and winning, not only do you trust in the Lord, not only do you delight in the Lord, but you need to commit your way. Everybody say commit. He says, commit your way to the Lord, and he shall bring it to pass. He says, say, God, I'm going to do it your way, and watch what he does for you. Say, God, I'm going to follow your way no matter what, and watch what I do. He says, these are the guidelines for 2022 that will help you live and win. First one he said was, I want you to trust. Everybody say trust. Going into 2022, you ought to say, God, I trust you. With money in the bank, without, I trust you. With perfect health, even with challenges in my health, I trust you. With a positive diagnosis from the doctor or without, I trust you. Secondly, I delight in you. I want to be in your presence. I want to be around you. I want to give you glory. I want to magnify you. I want to celebrate. I delight. Everybody say delight. And then I commit myself to you. I'm saying it's your way and no other way. It's to how you want it done, and I don't care what nobody. Everybody say commit. Last one, and then I'm through this Sunday. He says in verse 7, rest in the Lord. Everybody say rest. Say it like you mean it. Say rest. That word that caught me because he says, in essence, the Hebrew there says, be patient with God. Everybody say be patient. One translation says not only be patient, but don't let stuff bother you. Everybody say rest. What it means is it's going to be all right. Chill out. Be calm. He says hold you. Everybody say rest. That means whenever everything is getting wild, everything is breaking out, you ought to say, God has this. Everybody say rest. Some of you may remember, and I don't even know if my daughters do. Back years ago, my daughters, we were in our neighborhood, and there were a couple of dogs, pit bulls across the street. And one had gotten loose, and he was there growling or barking and something, and they were all going out to their car, to the Jeep, and I heard them knock at the door frantic. I heard them trying to come back in, and I remember going to the door, what's going on? And they were saying that dog, and he was a big one. You know, when the pit bull's face is about that big around, and he was barking and inching closer and closer to the curb, and the Lord has gifted me to be a protector, and I didn't take the sword of the Spirit on that particular occasion. I went and got the natural sword, and so with that sword, because I have been qualified proficiently, when I took it and put a round in there, I went out to let the dog know you're messing with the wrong children. Now I will lay you to rest. And so I went out, and it was something about them, my daughters, that got me. Everybody say rest. The dog was still there, and they still needed to get to their car to leave, but their level of their attitude, their mannerism changed because their father said, I'll take care of it. Let him come across. I don't know if that dog knew what I had in my hand could change the circumstances swiftly. I don't know if the dog saw the expression on my face to say, you may think you're going to win, but I'll lay you to. I don't know what it was, but what I do know is my daughters went on to the car with another level of confidence. They went on just looking to see what he going to do. What he going to. Y'all want to see? Let's wait. I was thinking, no, just get in the car and go. What I saw in them is what I believe every believer ought to have in good times and bad times. You ought to rest and say, if I talk to God about it, I don't know what he's getting ready to do. I don't know how it's going to turn out for this situation, but everybody say rest. That word rest also has a degree of it. It means to wait on God. Everybody say wait. Says like you mean it. Say wait. It means that don't try to rush him. Just say, God, you got it in your time, and I'm going to wait and let you handle it. I'm not going to get before you. I'm not going to try to sidetrack you. I'm not going to try to go around your plan and your way. Everybody say rest. I'm going to wait on the till. One of the things that I learned about good food, that it takes time. Everybody say it takes time. I know we're in a microwave situation now where you want it real quick, and I'm with you. If I can pop it in the microwave and give it about 30 seconds and it's ready, ooh-wee. But there's some things that it takes an oven. It's going to take a little while with a lot more heat, with a little time on it. Everybody say, give it time. That word rest says, why don't you wait for God every now and then? Don't you know if he says no to this, there's a yes that's better than what you wanted? Don't you know that if he says wait for that, there's a I got it for you that's better? He says rest in the fact. If you want the guidelines not only for living but for winning, you're going to have to trust. Everybody say trust. You're going to have to delight. Everybody say delight. You're going to have to commit. Say commit, and then rest. Now, this is where I have to end it, because what the writer was ultimately saying is, I've given you the answers to all the test question. I've told you everything you need to know. Going into 2022, you can go in saying, I got the answers. I'm going to be all right, because he's already given it to you. All right, this is it. I remember in 2013, at the end of my test, they came back and they said it'll be easy. They took the Scantron and they took all of it. And I'm saying, oh my Lord, oh Lord, ooh, that it was 300. It was 300. Everyone they said that it was there. But then he said, remember, I told you I was going to give you the answer to all of the questions. I gave you a book that was that thick, that gave you information that had way more than these questions, but your answers was there. I gave you information that wasn't going to even be on the test that you still needed to know. He said, I tried to prepare you. I've got you not only mentally, I've given you physical things that you needed to do. He says, and so let me tell you the scores. Now, before he did, this is what he pointed out. There were some, I won't call their names, some I can't remember, but I'll just say it was about 3 people that was in this same class with us. He said they tried to cheat and we got them out of here. They didn't want to do what we said. All they had to do was follow what I told them to do, and they could have passed. But they tried to cheat and got caught. He said, but those of you that are here, he said, you passed the test. Now this got me. He says, and do you not know, minus those, 97% of you all passed. It was 3 that tried to cheat, and the rest passed. So he went down the list, and so he said, here's yours, here's yours. And so when I got mine, I don't mind telling you my grade. I made an 88. I like that. I know that don't mean nothing to none of y'all, but I made an 88 and I passed. And so I passed the test. And he said, for those of you that didn't get 100, he said, don't worry about it. As a matter of fact, nobody got 100. But he said, all of the ones that you missed, I'm going to tell you the answers to those, so that when you prepare for anything else, you'll know the right answer for. He said, you had the right ones on these, but the ones you had wrong, I'm going to still tell you so you'll get it right later. He says, I don't want to leave you out there thinking that you won't win later on something that you got wrong. Even the ones that you missed, I'm going to make sure you get it right. 2022, God is saying to somebody, I'm going to give you guidelines of how to win. I want to give you guidelines of how to live. I want to give you guidelines of how to be successful. You got to trust me. Everybody say trust. He said you got to delight in me. Everybody say delight. He said you got to commit yourself to me and then rest in the fact that I'm going to give you exactly what you need. this Sunday morning, the last Sunday of this year, I want you to say to yourself, I want to follow God's guidelines. I want to make sure that I do it his way, because I want to not only live, but I want to win. And God has showed us what it takes. I love this text because he brings something to us. First part of this, he said, don't trip because folk that do wrong seem to getting stuff you want. Don't trip, don't get upset, don't get mad because it seems like evildoers are prospering and you're not. He says, don't do that. You just trust me. I've got you. Don't fall over, don't quit. I've got you. All you got to remember is 4 things. Trust me, delight in me, commit, and rest. While you're standing to your feet. 2022.